I'm Demarre McGill, and I am currently the principal flutist of the Seattle Symphony. I grew up in Chicago, and after leaving Chicago, got my undergraduate degree from the Curtis Institute of Music and did some grad work at the Juilliard School before starting my professional existence.
Retrace some of the breakthrough moments that got you to where you are today. I'm assuming that there's a handful of them, but maybe you just want to mention some and kind of what those peaks were along the way.
I would say that at the beginning of my professional trajectory, winning an A.B. Fisher career grant was a pivotal moment. It showed me that I could pursue an orchestral career while also pursuing a career with a focus on chamber music, recitals, and concerto performances. That was a big moment for me. And any time that I've been fortunate enough to experience some kind of perhaps luck, whether it's winning an orchestra job or being awarded some prize, I would say all of those moments are times when the view that I have of myself doesn't shift, but that acknowledgement shifts how others view me. And because of that, there tends to then be an increase in the amount of opportunities. So, I've been fortunate enough to be active enough throughout my existence that through all of the downs, there's bound to be some ups, and those ups have been able to sort of propel me forward in the eyes of others, and that's useful.
Yeah, for sure. If you think about the sound that you currently have and the various influences that shape that sound, I'm sure there's tons like all musicians have, but can you kind of distill it into just, kind of like, I don't know, five or so that kind of shape your current sound?
Do you mean influences?
Yeah, music, most likely musical influences that shape your particular sound that you have.
Yes. Well, oh my goodness. Going back to one of my first teachers in Chicago, Susan Leviton, a wonderful flutist, amazing teacher. Julius Baker, who I studied with for 7 years at Curtis at Juilliard, for sure has had a profound impact on what I want to sound like. All of my teachers, just for that matter, have had a profound impact on what I hear. But to tell you the truth, I don't listen to a lot of flutists anymore. You know, I was in school with Hilary Hahn. Her match of beauty, passion, and discipline, I noticed early on when she was probably 13, I was 17, has had an impact on my concept of sound. But more than any sort of external factors, I play in a way that pleases me. More than anyone else, I love warmth in the sound. I love a richness in the sound. I mean, from early on, and so till this day, I really do my best to try to create a sound that makes me feel good. Simply put.
Yeah, and fair point. I mean, why wouldn't you, right? Let's take a quick break. If you're a classical musician, you know that talent alone is not enough to be seen and heard in today's marketplace. You need visibility. Over the past 15 years, I've worked as a brand strategist in classical music, working with artists and organizations, building that visibility for them. I've helped artists win Grammy Awards and nominations, such as Jessie Montgomery and the Miró Quartet, and I've helped Yoon Chan Lim achieve global stardom through my work at the Cliburn. If you're a classical musician looking for that visibility to propel you forward, to attain better engagement, reach out because I'd love to explore working with you. Simply tap the link below to explore more and schedule a time to speak with me. Now, back to the conversation. If you think about significant performances, they don't necessarily have to be the most splashy, but ones that impacted you personally the most. Can you kind of recall some of those occasions?
Sure. There was a performance years ago. I wish I could tell you which year, but I'm unable to. In Taos, New Mexico, of the Brandenburg Concerti and Bach Brandenburg Concerti. And that particular evening, turned out to be a pivotal moment in and how I envisioned my future performing experiences. There was something about that night that inspired a really intense connection between the musicians on stage and the audience members. And more dramatically, in a way, was how I felt. It was just from that point on, I didn't want to wait years for another experience like that. So I really thought a lot about how I can create this energy for at least most concerts that I do. And I can tell you exactly what I figured out. It didn't have anything to do really with, well, it had very little to do with the audience. It had very little to do with even my colleagues. It had to do with preparing in a way that allows for me to love more during the concert, to feel more. As I talked about with my sound, I need to play in a way, I think we all need to play in a way that pleases us, that makes us feel good. And the same goes with performing. I try to perform in a way that gives me chills, that inspires some kind of reaction based on the music that I'm playing, because we all who are doing this, I assume that we all love it. So I try to feel like I love it when I perform. I mean, I don't have to try because I do love it.
Yeah, yeah,
But I
yeah.
really consciously, purposely try to inspire a feeling of deep connection to what I'm doing, with the hopes that you feel it as a listener as well, with the hopes that you feel it as my colleague as well.
If you think about this season and what you're working on, not only just at Seattle Symphony, but in other kind of engagements that you, I'm sure, have lined up, can you kind of relate to our listeners some of the highlights that are happening?
I'm very excited about the remainder of the season. As I love it, there's a lot of variety, from recitals to looking forward to doing a CPE Bach D minor concerto with the Virginia Symphony, to playing a wonderful, from my vantage point, very personal concertante that was written for me and three of my dear friends, including my brother Anthony McGill, clarinetist, Titus Underwood, principal oboe of the Nashville Symphony, and Andrew Brady, principal bassoon of the St. Paul Chamber Orchestra. We were performing a few times a work that was written for us by a wonderful young composer, Jasmine Barnes, with the Nashville Symphony. I'm excited about that. We're playing it at the Aspen Music Festival. And so, yeah, I can't wait. We premiered this last summer, and the energy of the work and of the performance is just something that I can't wait to recreate. I'm excited about that. And of course, playing with the Seattle Symphony, I am performing a concerto by the amazing composer Alison Loggins Hull in June, a newly written flute concerto. So yeah, a mixed bag of things is how I like it.
Yeah, awesome. When you think about trying to pull all of that out, in one season and then, or off in one season, plus building for next season and future seasons, how do you go about positioning your brand, positioning your project so that you keep getting seen and more people, fall into this brand world of Demarre?
Well, the one thing that I believe has to remain a focus, it's not the only focus, but it has to remain a focus, is the quality of what I'm doing. I spend most of my time practicing. I spend most of my time listening, preparing, learning. And I am fortunate enough that I have an amazing team at MKI who manage the workload, who spread the word, so to speak, about me, so that I can have these opportunities to share what I've been working on for many hours. But I think the most important thing to do is to prepare, at least for me at this point. I've always thought about it as kind of a matching game, that this is something that you can start now, no matter how young you are, is that you want to present the best version of yourself as many times as possible, ideally all of the time, because there is a person that you may not have any contact with post concert who was moved by what you did potentially. If they hear you again, or if they talk to someone who was also moved, that increases the likelihood that they may offer you something, that they may want to do something that will in turn further your career, that will allow your dreams to come true. But it all begins with your desire to present the best version of yourself at any
Yeah.
given time.
Yeah, for sure. If you think about long-term career goals and milestones over the next several decades, where do you see that going?
Sure. Well, I've always been excited about the future. It's sometimes been difficult for me to just stay in the present time because I'm always excited about my dreams. So I sincerely hope that as I continue to fulfill whatever dreams I have, and I'm already living them, I just want more. I love playing an orchestra. I love teaching. I'm excited to teach more. I love playing chamber music. I love playing concerti. I love playing recitals. I love doing it all. That will continue as it has, as long as I'm able to physically play the instrument, physically share my music making. But the one thing that is utmost importance to me is my influence, my ability to inspire, my ability to even create opportunities to, I guess people say, open doors for other people who have a gift and are unsure, unable, for a variety, any number of reasons, how to open that door. That's, I would say, one of the most important things for me, especially people who aren't born in an environment that easily allows for that. I would count a young Demarre in that, a young Anthony, my brother. We were fortunate enough to, while we were lucky enough to find our passion, we were lucky enough to find our voice. Sometimes that's not enough to be in situations where that voice, that passion is heard. And so if I can actually be a contributor, a positive contributor to someone else's existence, that would mean everything to me, and that would mean everything to, I guess, what eventually be my legacy.
Mm, Yeah, very profound. For sure. I know this is a change of subject matter because it's more the lighthearted part of the podcast from that serious part. And this is just quick fire round. So short answers. What's one talent you have that would surprise our listeners?
I write well. Like I think I write well.
If you could collaborate with any artist, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
That would be, uh, my goodness, Bruno Mars.
If you weren't a musician, what other profession do you think you'd pursue?
I like to think that I can find the art anything. So you give me a profession and I would be able to find a way, I believe, to be impactful within that field.
What's the first thing you do in the morning that helps set the tone for your day?
If I'm at home, I make breakfast for my son and I sit with him and I talk with him, and then he sits with me while I practice.
Cool. And last question, what does success mean to you?
Success is freedom. It's the freedom to be able to always be in an environment that is healthy, that allows me to grow and allows me to be a positive contributor to that environment.